Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Gibbon podcast. I am still recording now in the back lounge next to the fire with 3 spaniels around my feet. Winter has definitely set in and I need to sort some heating out in my office. Who would have thought a heating engineer that's got a cold office? But hey ho, that's just the way it is. To be honest, it's nicer to have the dogs roaming around below you and have the fire roaring in the background. What have we been up to? Well, obviously with that patch of snow that came over the last few weeks, it's been quite good fun. Our pheasants are really sort of staying at home. They haven't gone too far. We had a good first day, actually. Nice to walk around with the syndicate, get a few guys out, shot a few birds, took them home. Happy days. The deer stalking's been going well. Been helping out a bit with the hinds, getting some stuff done down there with Tom. I know he's having a good season. Things are all changing in the way of the deer. We've been seeing coal targets changing slightly, S&H asking for different things, but that's just the way it's going to be. I think that target is still truly painted on the back of them. We've got some other podcasts to release. Back in July, I actually recorded a load of stuff at the Scottish Game Fair. The sound quality was a bit of a problem due to PA technical issues and all the rest of it, but we did actually manage to get some great chats recorded. I've been spending a lot of time trying to edit these up, and hopefully over the festive period, I will release these, and hopefully you can have a good listen and some interesting conversations to see what comes from that. We've also been recording some other interesting guests and having some good chats and more to come. So watch this space. Going to do a couple more of those in the field type of recordings as well. That bit that means that when you're sat in the car, sat in the office, and the day is not really going well for you, you can listen along and think you're out in the field with myself and my guest, having a bit of an experience with us. So hopefully, I know they seem to go down quite well, and we're going to give them another go. Potentially some other ideas as well, maybe a bit of group chat or something like that, maybe even get a co-host on just for a bit of a laugh. So let's get on and talk about who we are chatting to in this recording. Her name is Sarah, and she is a South African PH, hunting guide, outfitter, however you want to describe it. She also owns a beautiful lodge. I've been talking to her quite a lot since we recorded that podcast, and potentially now we'll be travelling over to South Africa to actually do an in-the-field chat, maybe even take some game over there, just to see how her game farm works, which you're really going to enjoy the chat we have. And then potentially she's coming back to Scotland, and we'll do the same again. Take her out on some of those Scottish species and let her experience the true brutal weather we have up here. So nice plug there for the weather changing. Obviously now it's got colder. I was going to say we still have a small stock of our wonderful beanies. We've also got the hoodies. T-shirts are still in production. The designs will be going up so you can all see them very shortly. And we've also got those nice mugs so that you can sit there with your cup of tea cup of tea or coffee, even stick a whiskey in it while listening to us round the fire maybe. So yeah, you can find that. Drop us a DM, an email if you're interested in any of that. We'll try and do a social media post so you can see what's available. Haven't done a website for it yet, just time. It always gets in the way. As I say, just drop us a message if you're interested in anything. Anyway, let's get a quick word from our sponsors and then we'll get that show started. The Outdoor Gibbon podcast is proudly sponsored by the Shooting and Hunting Academy, an online training platform and UK registered learning provider that provides a host of accredited and nationally available courses and masterclasses delivered by leading industry experts.
Hi guys, it's Rachel here from Style, the new social app for field sports and farming. Join our countryside community on the App Store or Google Play. Just search Style Country. Enjoy the show!
And welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Gibbon podcast. Today we are talking to Sarah Ripley Forsyth. Now she is an African hunter, a PH, a game reserve and hotel owner. I think there's more to it, but we'll get on and find out a bit more in a minute. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm well, I'm blessed.
No, thank you for coming on. Obviously, it's really interesting. I've been around Europe and I've talked to a lot of European hunters, and we've discussed how they got into hunting and things like that. So let's start off with a bit of information about your background and how it all sort of came to where you are now.
Well, firstly, so is this your first time having an African on the podcast?
It is, yes.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, totally.
Um, Wonderful. Well, as you said, my name is Sarah Ripley Forsyth. My last name is Scottish.
Yes.
Um, and it's quite nice to speak to someone based where you're based. Um, and I was born in South Africa, born and bred. Been very blessed to travel around the world and be educated overseas, but nothing could keep me away from South Africa. Um, so I was studied in the States for a little while.
Okay.
Um, Finished there, worked there, and then came back home. And that was all obviously part of a greater design.
Right.
And I have a younger brother. He also came back home. He was in the UK for a while, but nothing like Africa. There really is nothing like it. And if
Is
your
there
feet
just
touch the
uh,
soil,
I was going to say, is
yeah.
there just a draw because you're born there? It's like going back home pulls you
Do you
back
know what?
down
It's
there.
so much deeper than that. Like 100% born here, but when you come to Africa, when you stand on the soil here, something happens to you. We hear it called Mother Africa, the motherland. There's a reason for that. There's almost like a spiritual tie when you get here. People say you catch the African bug, and that's
Okay.
why people just keep coming back because South Africa is Africa, generally Southern Africa. Central is, just a disaster. So Southern Africa, um, it's an extraordinary place for people to visit. Anyway, so I was born here, um, and came back and started running one of our lodges. So we have a hotel in Johannesburg,
Okay.
which I think most people hear of, and we have a restaurant that's actually a venison restaurant.
Oh, fantastic.
Um, so it's quite something. It's called the Carnivore Restaurant, and it's very well known. We've been around, thanks be to God, for like 31 years this year. And when we do, we sell venison, so people come and it's almost like an all you can eat, and it's zebra, impala, ostrich, kudu, and so you really get to, eat the animals you're about to go and see on safari.
But so obviously for any of our English listeners or European listeners, when we talk about
Yeah,
venison purely is deer, but you obviously
exactly.
classify zebras, impalas, ostrich all as venison.
hmm So, yes, the laws around ostrich are interesting, but that's because of Gucci bags and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, Same with crocodile, right?
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
you actually take it back to where it comes from, what? Follow the money. Why is crocodile and ostrich different? Right?
Yeah.
Because Gucci bags, Hermes bags, let's talk luxury. So different laws apply to those guys. But anyway, yes, venison is generally the term used for game meat. I think even the States, I think they use the word venison. So things that are wild. I don't know if it applies to poultry besides an ostrich, but I think an ostrich is. I actually don't know. I'm not gonna say for sure.
No, no, that's fine. No, it's just really interesting to hear how that term is used for different things. As I say, the
Yeah.
UK venison for us would be one of our six deer species,
And
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 that
that would
would
be
be
the
it.
same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it would kind of be the same thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So I ended up managing our game reserve. So a game reserve for us is kind of your idea of a safari or an
Okay.
American's idea of a safari. Like it's natural land with animals on it.
Yep.
Okay, wild animals. And a game reserve, you get private ones, and then you get government-owned game reserves.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a national park kind of thing. So I have a private game reserve. I'm in the Northwest Province, which is about 2 hours from Johannesburg, and I have a game farm. I have a lodge, and there's a lot of history here. Actually, a lot of it ties to British history, UK history,
Okay.
and yeah, and I breed animals. which is another interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Not only have a game farm, but also working on breeding the animals. And yeah, I'm just out there talking a lot and having some fun.
No, absolutely. And I would say that obviously, yeah, when you talk about a game reserve, so is your game reserve, I'm
Mm.
assuming it's a large area of land.
Yes. So
Yeah.
so the word large is an interesting word, right? Because it leaves a lot of room.
Yes.
Um now the a game farm can be it's not limited to size. So I don't know if you work in acres or hectares.
Acres are
Um
fine. Acres are perfect.
can you handle hectares?
We
Because
can handle
now
hectares. Yeah, yeah.
I'm more okay, cool. So I mean, my farm, for all intents and purposes, is a small farm. Unfortunately, we can't expand more. I can get into the history there, but we can't really expand our farm anymore. But it's about 500 hectares, which is about 1,400 acres,
Okay.
somewhere there, where you get farms that are 18,000 hectares.
Yes.
You know, and so a lot comes into play when you talk about both of those and both of the different hunting experiences you'll get. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's something that people should be aware about. But it's also something that is okay to talk about. So I have a smaller farm and I still have to hunt in order to sustain my farm, regardless of the fact that it might not be anywhere near the same size. I mean, I know people who have breeding camps where they breed one species in a that is as big as my farm.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Right.
that's measurable. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that that
So
farm that you
yeah.
speak about is fully fenced, or
Mhm.
are you open to the next
Yes.
door?
So
You are
we call
fenced.
it adequately enclosed.
Okay.
So if you have a game reserve, generally you want to have animals. So it's a fenced in area where nothing can escape and nothing can enter,
Okay.
ideally. Um, and the animals inside of that fenced area are yours,
Right.
okay?
Okay.
Unless it can sort of be proven otherwise, let's say like an ear tag or a microchip or something like that. The animal is yours. If it jumps out, it's not yours. And so when you buy animals, because we'll probably get into that as well, there's so much to cover. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
buy animals, you obviously have them in an enclosed space,
Okay.
so you don't lose them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay. Okay. So
And you also have
basically,
to,
so though the animals originally that appeared on your farm, are they all animals that you've
yes.
put there, or were they wild animals and you've kind of run around, put a fence up, and that's it? They're in there. They're yours
No,
then.
so unfortunately that's ideal for people, right? But no, where we are, so the farm, we're gonna go into a little bit of history, but
Yep.
you know,
Yeah,
generally
yeah. Let's do it.
hunter
Great.
people are kind of lovers of history, so cool. So we had a president, Paul Kruger, um, and actually, all Englishmen should know who Paul Kruger was because you guys had a war with us, and he and Alfred Milner sort of started the war together. So you should know who Paul Kruger is, but that's not your fault. It's the education system.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing in our country. But Paul Kruger was the president of the Transvaal province. Back in the day, there was the Cape Colony,
Yep.
and then there was the Orange Free State and the Transvaal province. And so Paul Kruger was an Afrikaner. So we're going to go like basically 200 years before him. His ancestors probably settled, right? So
Yes.
he wasn't Dutch anymore. He's now an Afrikaner. That's 200 years. That's a considerably long amount of time. If people were having kids at 20, that's like 10 generations. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
um, those people they're African at that point. Anyway, so he was the president, and he had a very large influence with the Afrikaner community, and he had houses all across the Transvaal. But my farm is called Buckenhoutfontein, which means beechwood fountain or spring.
Okay.
And my farm was Paul Kruger's original family home. So it's where he raised his 16 children because they had no TV back then.
That's why
Um,
on the map
and
there's a house
yes,
dedicated to it, isn't there? Yes. I
mm-hmm,
was I was
exactly. So
Google Earthing things and trying to find things out, and I saw that. So you've answered
good.
that question.
Doing your due diligence.
Absolutely.
Um, Yeah, so that is the Paul Kruger Country House Museum actually. So it's a museum on property that people can come and see. It's pretty much all done in the 1800s.
Okay.
It's quite incredible. And then our lodge is themed all around the history of the Anglo-Boer War, which the Brits basically started in 1899 to 1902. So it was a war that lasted 4 years with more than 500,000 British soldiers on ground and only 50,000 Afrikaans soldiers on ground. And they held them for 4 years. And that's where really the concentration camp started. There's a lot of history there, which is really, really amazing history. You guys, I know in like the UK, you just talk about the Anglo-Zulu War, but really, like you got things messed because the Anglo-Boer War is so incredible. I mean, it's astounding what happened. It's
Yeah, yeah.
astounding the figures that were there. Winston Churchill was there. You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
made
yeah.
his name as a young journalist while he was there. The history is just incredible. Anyway, so it's Paul Kruger's farm.
Cool.
Now, originally the king of the area, Kgosi Mogatle, it's the Royal Bafokeng Nation. Kruger bought 2,000 hectares from him. And the English leave their land historically to the oldest son, so the land stays within the family. But the Afrikaans would split their land between their children. So Buck and Houtfontein got very small over the years.
Okay.
Um, and they segmented it into pieces. And so my father was from Zimbabwe. Um, and he came to South Africa, and I don't know why he wanted to buy a property all the way out in Rustenburg, the Northwest Province, but he did, and he bought a little piece, and then over 30 years he pieced back as much of the original 2,000 hectares as he could.
Oh,
And then
wow.
our lodge is quite amazing because it's themed all around the history of the Anglo-Boer War. Um, and so we call it the South African War. It was really the First World War. I mean, it should have been the First World War because people from all around the world fought in that war, from the Indians to the Malays to yeah, Australia, Canada. I mean, and we don't really talk about it. So the property not only has beautiful animals, which we haven't even really gotten into yet, but it has really incredible history.
I was going to say the history sounds absolutely fantastic, and to have all of that
Oh, it's
on a
incredible.
property. So as well as people coming to stay to do what we're about to talk about, there's so much more as well. It's not just about going out
100%.
and looking at animals and taking animals.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think that's a little bit of a synopsis of me,
Yeah,
I
pretty much.
think.
So
Oh,
let's
professional hunter.
talk about the professional hunter status, because that's something that's very specific, obviously, to we've, as I say, we've talked to a lot of European hunters where they all go and do a trained hunter type of status,
Yeah.
but it's very much something that's an African sort of registration and license, isn't it, to be a professional hunter?
Yeah. So a South African can hunt with a South African as long as there's the relevant permit. That's not a problem.
Okay.
But if you want to be someone who escorts or guides international tourist, okay? So an
Yep.
international hunter, if I want to guide someone from the UK or the US, I have to have a professional hunting license,
Okay.
okay? We have 9 provinces. Each province has a different law in terms of its animals,
Okay.
sort of environmental laws, right? Because as environment changes, so do animals, so do species.
Of course.
And so I reckon that the law is sort of produced to reflect that. So if you want to hunt in multiple provinces, then you need to get multiple professional hunting licenses.
Okay.
So I have 2. I have the Limpopo license, so I can hunt with an international client in Limpopo, and then the Northwest Province, which is where my hotel is based. But further than that, the professional hunter is just able to guide an international hunter.
Okay.
If you want to be the person who goes out and looks for hunters to come in, almost like, so it's called a hunting outfitter.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the hunting outfitter employs I reckon it's the same with you. The hunting outfitter employs the professional hunter, and so I got my professional hunter's license, but then decided that, well, before that I knew that I just actually wanted the hunting outfitter, so I better get the PH done, and all that under my belt, and obviously get that experience, and that was an amazing course. But yeah, ultimately the goal was the hunting outfitter.
Okay, and that course, is that over is that a few weeks, or is it a 12-month thing? Is there practical parts to that course that you have to do?
This is the question that I was hoping you wouldn't ask.
Oh, okay.
So so when we look at what it should be, yes, it should probably be over 12 months.
Okay.
But unfortunately it's not really that way. In Zimbabwe, I know it's a few years to get their professional hunting license, but in South Africa it's a 10-day course.
Okay. So everywhere has a different way of looking at doing it, and okay, no, that's really interesting to know, because as I say, in the UK you can go and sit a 4-day course and you get a qualification, or you go to Germany and you do almost 2 years.
Right. So we do 10 days, and it's an intensive course, and I think you have to get over 70 or 80%. It's one of them.
Yep.
And it's intense. I mean, you've got to learn all that law and the general information within 10 days. It's not enough time to really learn all the information, but it's a pretty good start. And that professional hunting license does not allow you to hunt what we call dangerous game.
Okay.
So our big five, they're named the big five because they're the dangerous animals to hunt on foot in Africa, right? So we have our elephant, our rhino, our buffalo, our leopard, and our lion. And if you want to guide somebody on a dangerous game hunt, then that's a different situation. You need a different permit for that, which is important, and you need a certain amount of hours going on those sorts of hunts, because that's serious stuff we're talking now.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
But that's really good to know.
The hippo and the crocodile are on there too.
Yeah, because obviously that's one of the most important things. You just don't want somebody that's done a 10-day course going to say, I'm going to take you out to hunt one of these top 5, because the last thing,
look,
things
most
go wrong.
of the people that have done the course, 100%. Most of the people that have done the course are people that have sort of grown up hunting their whole life and that sort of thing. So they're well aware of most things, but when you go on a hunt to hunt something dangerous like that, you want somebody who's experienced. You want somebody who's going to be able to tell you what to do and help you through it, and so that at least is a really important thing that they enforce.
Fantastic. No, that's it's really interesting to know that, because obviously, as I say, a lot of people sort of look in and the question is asked, why is it professional hunters and so on, but to find out a little bit more about it, that's really, really good. Excellent. I've learned something new, you see. There you go. And I hope everybody listening will have found something
every
interesting.
day.
Yeah, no, totally. Every day's a school day. So let's sort of move on now. So let's talk about what you've got in terms of animals on your game reserve, because obviously you're, as you said, you're a game reserve, but you're also doing breeding and things like that.
Right. So where do I start?
Pick anything.
When I took over running the lodge here in the game farm, I decided that it would probably be the best course of action to get some nice animals, and if I was going to do it, I was going to get really nice animals. Maybe not a whole bunch at a time, because they cost an arm and a leg, but a few here and there.
Okay.
And I invested in some really, really wonderful species, specimen, and yeah, I'm working on generating hopefully a few wonderful generations of bloodlines. So I don't know how well versed you are on South African animals.
Pretty
Um,
good. I've looked at the I've looked at many of the safari lists and things like that. So I'm sure if not,
okay.
we can all Google away and have a quick look and look at what you're talking about.
So I've I started concentrating on what's called blessbuck,
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Blesbok. Yeah. And I generally started with them because I thought they were the cheapest to start with. But if you have leopard going around, they're definitely not the cheapest to start with because leopard like them.
We'll come on
So
to talking about
I want
leopards in a
to.
bit. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm so ready to start talking about those things.
Yeah. 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 Totally.
Um, so yeah, blessbuck. I currently have one of the biggest blessbuck in the country. So I'm very, very proud of him. He's gorgeous, and it's really something to see some of the best specimens sort of walking on your property. It's quite
Yep.
something. And then wildebeest.
Yep.
They're the ones that some people, for some reason, get confused with the buffalo.
Okay.
Wildebeest is sort of something I'm concentrating on as well. Impala, I'm working on doing a few different things, which are controversial in themselves, because we've bred sort of some groups with some color variant genetics in them.
Okay.
Um, so that sometimes opens up a whole other kettle of worms, but that's fun too. Um, and then sable antelope.
Yep.
Um, they're something quite special. Um, my eland are pretty lovely. Um, what else am I missing? So then I just generally have a lot of plains game species. So plains game is when you don't really have the big five on your property.
Okay.
Um, just sort of the normal zebra, giraffe, those sorts of things. But I suppose they're not really normal, are they? They're quite special.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not the type of thing that we see every day. To see those, that's like a trip to the zoo kind of thing. But you just probably look out the window and there they are.
That's my morning traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, things like zebra, people don't. I've chatted to people that have been out there to hunt them,
Yeah.
and they don't realize that they can be problematic. There are issues with them, and they can
Oh
be.
goodness, zebra are just horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really nasty animals. I mean, a male zebra will kill foals, no problem. He'll drown them. They're
Okay.
nasty. They eat so much. If you have to supplement feed for your animals, because obviously you have a finite piece of space
Yes.
that you have your animals on, and so during winter, you often have to supplement feed, which is a expense. And zebra just love to eat. They're bossy. They'll get to the front. They bite. No, zebra are nasty. They really are.
So
But
so
they're
so
beautiful.
Disney really
Yeah.
have it's not just in everywhere that Disney touches, it makes all these animals look so lovely and friendly, and our world is, oh, these animals don't hurt each other, they all talk to each other. But the reality is, yeah, the zebra is not a friendly animal, and there's probably lots of others
No,
that
the
will.
zebra's not a friendly animal. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. That's so you've got a fair selection on not a huge amount of land. So I look at that 1,000
Well, I mean, I
acres.
haven't even given you all the species. I got kudu, I got inyala, I got bushbuck. There are hartebeest here. Um,
Fantastic.
I don't know if I'm running
Sounds
short.
it sounds amazing, but I suppose if you don't have the big five dangerous ones or the things that really want to just eat them all the time, then your
Yeah.
game is pretty safe.
100%. Well, I mean, in theory, but let's talk about some of the things that actually make it not so safe. Um,
Totally.
fencing can only help so much, and
Okay.
fencing is I once asked somebody, I said, if I build a whole wall, you know, um, will it work? And he said they'll just break through the wall. So when it comes to poaching, poaching is a real thing. I think actually some people are even confused as they don't understand that that's private property.
Now, is
Some
this
people just poach and sell your meat.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, is this the famous, is this the famous bushmeat, the sort of the black market of it that
Yeah.
is it, you talk
Yeah.
about it and it's like small packets of basically game meat that's being sold illegally, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. And it's often done with dogs.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you'd be amazed at the kind of animals 3 dogs could take down. It's quite something to see. So humans are an issue, but then we have leopard, which we'll get into. Leopard are an issue in this country. There are these lovely, beautiful cats called caracal, and caracal also they take your impala and they just eat like a little section and they just leave the rest of it. Um, Brown hyena, I'm not sure I have them, but I know that that there's some issues with brown hyena right now. Just a lot of them everywhere. And so that's mainly those are mainly my issues. And then jackal. Jackal, especially during lambing or calving season, that's where you lose your animals.
So
You're
and
lucky if you
obviously
make it out
the
50%
I
sometimes.
these all of these animals potentially have the ability to go over. I'm assuming your fence is like a 6 foot game
No,
fence or
not
something.
potentially.
Okay.
100% they definitely will find their way over. I
Right.
mean, it's something that I bet every single game farmer in South Africa deals with. I mean, whether we put up an electric fence, so a lot of our fences are 1.8 to 2 meters high, sometimes 2.2 meters. Um, and my goodness gracious, they will find a way.
Yeah.
They will find a way. Actually, a lot of people have problems with warthog. I'm lucky I don't get warthog here, but warthog bury under fences, and so when you dig under a fence, then you leave a lot of space for other animals. Leopards crawl, leopards jump.
Right,
Yeah.
let's because leopards keep coming up, and I watched the reel you posted on your Insta feed, and it's what
Yes.
basically it brought me to actually want to talk to you because it was one of those things that it's like you wanted to talk about elephants, rhino horn, and then leopards. Let's talk about the problem that you have with leopards because obviously it's something that comes up and up all the time.
Sorry about
No,
that.
but it's really good for people to understand this because a lot of people will look in and go, "Oh, it's a cat. It's a beautiful looking creature." But
Yeah.
they're in the UK, obviously, probably our biggest predator
Listen, a
would be.
leopard is a beautiful creature. Nobody's going to argue that that's one of the most beautiful creatures on earth.
Yep.
But at the end at the end of the day, you could have the goddess Aphrodite at your door, but if you know she's stabbing you in the neck, you're not going to open. um
Absolutely.
anyway. So there hasn't been a permit issued to shoot a leopard in South Africa technically since 2022. 2021, the permits were kind of like put on hold and then they said they could use them in 2022. But so basically since 2021, no leopards hunted.
And
Okay.
why is
Now
that?
let's actually go to the basis of this. Exactly
Okay.
why is that? And this is applicable for leopard, rhino, and elephant, what I'm
Okay.
gonna say. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What did I say earlier? I said follow the money, right? With the Gucci
Yes.
bags, with the ostrich and crocodile. Okay. So let's follow the money. If we really have a problem with our rhino, if we really have a problem with our elephant, and we really have a problem with our leopard, why is nobody listening? Money, right? There must
Yeah.
be
Of
money
course.
involved
Must
some
be.
way. So what happens is these NGOs that are most, unfortunately from the West, most of them, these big animal rights organizations raise billions of dollars and then hand it over to, let's say, the South African government, or whoever that they want to, whatever money laundering they're doing, whatever payoffs they're doing. None of that money is actually going into conservation or the protection of wildlife or animals, right? That money is going into people's pockets, and they're never going to stand up against the fact that, no, we actually have to start killing some elephant because they're getting billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Why on earth would they stop it? You know? I mean, let's be serious. If you're getting billions of dollars, leopard, now there are too many of them, it doesn't matter. You're not going to say that. Keep your heating on all winter.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Yeah.
um, so that's where the problem comes down. I mean, there are plenty of animals that are endangered. The pangolin is terrible. There's so many things, but leopard are not endangered. They're a problem. Elephant are not endangered in Southern Africa. They're a problem. Rhino are very, 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 very precious, and we have to protect them. And the only way we can protect them is by keeping them alive, shaving off their rhino horn and selling it. And with that revenue, being able to actually enforce enough security to look after them so it's profitable. Because right now, we're just watching our rhino die, like, quite frankly.
And that's through poaching?
I've seen antelope sell for more than a rhino.
Okay, and the rhino
That's
issue,
through poaching.
it is poached. They are being poached out. Yeah.
Yeah, so the rhino are being poached, and how a poacher has to do it, because they don't really have a dart gun and the patience. They shoot it and they cut it off, and there they go. I mean, graphic for anybody who's sensitive, but
Everybody listening to this
guy
won't be. They'll understand what you're talking about, because
Okay,
most
awesome.
people on
My
here are
kind of people.
like-minded. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they had a rhino mother poached on their farm, and they just cut the baby in half. It just left it there dead. I mean, that's the kind of stuff happening now. If you're a farmer who has rhino, and you can cut off and shave the rhino horn every few months and sell it for the crazy prices it sells on the black market for people in Asia to have a hard on, you can, with all that money, you can employ the correct kind of security. You can have the correct kind of resources so you can actually look after those animals. Rhino are a ridiculous expense. Can you imagine a 24-hour security force?
Yeah.
It's it's an animal covering a large amount of space, and so it's really tragic to what's happening to them. And yeah, it's
almost
very sad.
unthinkable how, when you say, you've got a security force. Basically, you've got like guys that are armed to go and shoot poachers if they see them, or deal with poachers
24 hours a day.
But that, I'm thinking a field, but it's not a field. It's tens of thousands of acres potentially they have to cover, and they are keeping an eye on the rhinos where it's moving, but without disturbing it too much, so it's still living a normal life. And it's just it's unthinkable, really, for anybody from sort of the UK, really.
It's crazy, and it's a tragedy, and I don't understand why people can't like rub two marbles in their head together and just think about it for a second. But again, it's all about money.
This is the emotive part which we spoke about, which I said to you just before we came on air. We had a show in the UK dedicated to guys that go out to take deer. It's called the Stalking Show. And what was really interesting is there was an outfitter for African game, and a journalist managed to sneak her way in, and literally she didn't mention roughly anything else about the show, but went straight to the stand there, looked at the taxidermy on the wall, wrote an absolute horrible article about it. And it's just like, it's so not understood. And actually, this is the problem. The whole world looks in on it, and they just see
she's doing the harm.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's the tragedy of it. Is people don't understand. Should I give a brief synopsis of how I try and make people understand?
Please do, absolutely.
I'm not sure how it works there, but from South Africa's point of view. So, obviously, I'm sure that side of the world you've heard that our governing body is not so great.
Yep.
And so as a consequence, if our electricity isn't great, how could our national parks be great? Right?
Okay.
Like, let's put that into perspective. If we struggle to get electricity in our country, do you think they're looking at national parks? Not even a little bit. So our national parks are in in a really, really bad state, especially with elephant overpopulation. But anyway, they're in a very, very bad state with animal numbers, ordinary animals, and the most amount of animals owned now in South Africa are on private land because of the success of us breeding them, right? Because of keeping them safe, because of trying to make sure they're not poached, because of having breeding programs to bring species back. We've just brought the Bontebok off a list that was, people weren't able to hunt them. People, they were near extinction at a point, and South African farmers have brought them back. I mean, the
So
sable antelope, it wasn't in South Africa anymore. We have, yeah,
that's conservation.
that's
That is
that's what
100%
it's all
conservation.
about. I
Absolutely.
mean, I can't even tell you that South Africa have the best conservation model in the world. If you come and look at our game farms, I mean, we have bred things back to how they were, like basically before the colonizers came. We're trying to get them to that point, where you had sable bills that were 60-inch walking around, and that was something that wasn't, not uncommon. So it's quite something that we're doing. It's a conservation model that should be studied all over the world, and I'm very proud of it, because it's been super successful. The government haven't really acknowledged the numbers, and therefore most animal censuses about South Africa are nonsense. And so we can't even really start with the leopard census because there is nowhere to start. Government numbers are unreliable. We can't hunt them. So it's not even like the reliable people, the hunters, can keep track of how many they're shooting or how many there potentially are. I mean, I was at a farm not too long ago, and they said on one camera on their farm, there was anywhere between 9 and 12 leopards on one camera.
Really? Wow.
12 different leopards walking past there. I mean, that's not funny. That's a problem. Those
Yeah,
things
yeah,
eat,
100%.
and this is your
That's
livestock. If you have
uh,
a sheep farm and you have something that's taking off every single day, there's your money. There you're going. You can't have anything. You're not going to eat. They're your livestock. It's
yeah,
your product
100%.
there.
But this is
So
crazy that this
yeah.
information is never or the information that everybody, because we've got, as you say, you said it a minute ago, these big groups, these animal rights groups and propaganda producers, all they produce is
Yeah.
the films that show, oh, you've got to save the elephant, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But actually, this load of information, the conservation that all the outfitters, there's probably one or two outfitters that maybe are more about money, but most of you are more about the animals and the protection and giving back and making sure that the land is
100%.
looked after.
Like, let's just talk about the, good and bad people for a second.
Yeah.
People obviously throw that on us a lot, but in any industry in the world, whether you're in the financial game, whether you're selling sanitizer, whether you're doing account, whatever you're doing, there are people that are immoral. There are people that will do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of hunters are people who respect nature, the most respectful, that are not going to throw a bottle on the ground, that are going to pick up a bottle. We're a different kind of people. We're the real lovers of nature. And so, yes, some people have strange ethics, and and that's another thing. Everybody has a different sort of moral code. So, for example, there are probably animals that I wouldn't shoot, right? Like we have this really cute thing called a genet. I
Okay.
probably wouldn't shoot a genet, but I would shoot an elephant. I know a guy who wouldn't shoot an elephant, but he might shoot a serval cat. We're all different in what we would shoot and what we wouldn't, and that's okay. And there's a space for everything.
And it's really interesting when I put posts up and we'll talk to people and something comes up like that. And the UK, you could put any deer species up or a fox up, no problem. And all guys would be like, I'll shoot those. But if I put a picture of an elephant up and said, I'd like to take that, then that would change everything. Most of them would be.
Let me just tell you about elephant. Let me go into my elephant rant now. Okay. All those people that are saying now, elephants, you got to protect them. It is almost our biggest wildlife crisis at the moment. I would say, besides the fact that rhino are getting taken, elephant is our biggest problem.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a case study for Madikwe National Park. Okay, Madikwe is a game reserve that's in South Africa. Really well known, tourists love it, 5-star, great experience, blah, blah, blah. They decided that they were going to get their profits not from hunting, but from photographic tours and people coming for tourism purposes. To
Okay.
be game drives and happy-go-lucky hug trees and everything's going to be sparkly fine. So there were no elephant there. So they brought in something like 300 elephant. Okay.
Yep.
Their carrying capacity, the amount of elephant they can have on that land is 300. Today they have anywhere between 1.2 thousand to 1.7 thousand elephant. Numbers are not for sure because nobody knows what's happening and they're trying to keep everything undercover. So basically, they're more than 1,000 elephant overpopulated in that environment. If you go Google Earth, Madikwe, okay, an elephant, how much is it? It weighs tons. It has huge feet. It crushes everything it walks over. It pushes every tree down. And so what's happening is the environment is becoming completely depleted. There's no grass for grazers. There's no trees for browsers. Everything is dying. This year, beginning of this year, 100 elephant dropped dead in Madikwe Park in front of tourists from starvation. So you're telling me that starvation is better than a bullet? That's what you're telling me. You are happy to watch something starve instead of something that's lived a long, nice life and gets shot ethically, quickly, dead, done, meat gets used, la-di-da. But you'd rather something starve to death. I really struggle here. You have to help me. I really, really struggle. So that's Madikwe. Okay. Now, the Kruger National Park, which is the biggest park in South Africa, which is like, I think, a third of the size of the UK or something like that. 30,000 elephant overpopulated. Our park is getting screwed. 30,000. If we could charge even $50,000 a pop, we could refence some of our national parks. We could fix the roads. We could protect the rhinos. I mean, the list is endless. Elephant. There used to be an elephant meat processing factory not far from the Kruger National Park, and they would can that meat, and the local villagers could buy it. Can you imagine how much meat comes off an elephant? No,
absolutely.
it's cruel.
Yeah.
There are no elephants. Cry, cry. Everything's going to drop dead. I mean, there's a case study as well of this park in Kenya. It's something like Tsavo National Park. And they had an overpopulation of elephant. They said, no, they're not going to get rid of any. And it was like a decade later, 10,000 elephant died of dehydration, starvation, and constipation, and 500 rhino because it was too cruel to take off a few of them.
Isn't that crazy, though? It's just that's just... It's because it's just it is totally mind-blowing. It's like people...
Do you know what I call it?
Go for it.
Let them eat cake.
Right. Okay.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And it's
everything is fine.
This is the problem we've got because of things like the film like Dumbo. Elephants are lovely and they say they do all these wonderful things, but you've hit the nail on the head there. They just destroy stuff because the size of them, it's like a bulldozer moving through the landscape.
100%, and we love them, but we love them to a point where where populations can sustain themselves healthily, but as a real conservationist, I physically can't sit there and watch an animal starve. I would rather put a bullet.
Not. Yeah 100%.
And
that's really
speaking,
cruel.
I don't know about you bunny huggers.
Well,
apparently not.
This is the crazy bit. We have it up here as well. We get a lot of deer hit on the road, and the way it should be dealt with is if you've hit a deer and broken its leg or it's injured, go and euthanize it, put it out of its misery. Oh no, they call in, as you've just said, like the bunny huggers, they call in the rescue team to come out to it because I've hit a deer, it might get saved, and it's just like 90% of the time the deer gets a blanket put over it and euthanized, but it's like I could just rock up, bang, done, dealt with, that's it. But no, it has to be what
probably happens 90% of the time, it probably dies of like heart attack.
Yes.
Because it's just being traumatized from these people trying to interact with it. I mean,
100%.
I don't know. I think you're right. Somebody else said to me the other day, it's because of Bambi. It's because of the Lion King. And I suppose that's true, isn't it? I
we have
suppose
made
that has a lot of sense to it.
the planet soft, and that's the problem.
Mm,
It's Disney. They call it we call it Disneyfication. Disney has a lot to answer for because basically it's made everybody
yeah.
think that lions all stand around and talk to each other, elephants just
Oh
roam
my
around
goodness.
and make things safe, and the leopard kind of lies in a tree and waits and doesn't do anything wrong. And then you see a wildlife show
Mm,
where they never really show you the full effect. But if you put a wildlife show on of elephants dying, they'd be uproar, but they'd say, well, we should do something
yeah.
about it. We should feed them. It's like you try feeding something that will eat lorry loads of food. Where's that food coming
Look,
from?
absolutely. Look how far our taxes get us already. You know.
100%. It's crazy, and it's really nice to speak to somebody that can actually share that knowledge, and hopefully the listeners will be able to go, I never knew that, and they'll find something new out. Because to be honest, I didn't know half of what you've just said, because it probably doesn't leave your country. It doesn't go out to the general public. It doesn't
Yeah.
make its way
Yeah,
up to
people don't
Europe.
talk.
No, we
Yeah.
just see
And
um, a save the rhino or a save the elephant campaign, and that's about it.
yeah. Yeah. And it's no, well, thank you for listening and thank you for, enjoying enjoying the conversation. That's my plan to try speak a little bit more and let people know, the
Well,
truths.
the conservationist side of things, America obviously had their issue. They were about to lose huge amounts, and back in the day, they set their ideas up, their tag system, and their preservation, and now they have a really healthy population of everything. They've done it.
Yeah,
Nobody
they're doing
knows that
good.
Africa has this conservation system in place, and to be honest, it's really nice to hear somebody talk about it. I'm sure there's been other podcasts, but for somebody to tell the listeners about what's happening is amazing. So let's just move on from that now. So if somebody decided to come down to you for a holiday, a hunting holiday, to
Yes.
stay at the hotel, what's the process? What would they expect?
What would they expect? Well, how far back you want to go? You want to go to a booking process? You
Yeah,
want to go?
let's go from the beginning, the booking process. Let's do we're coming to do a hunting safari with you.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Right. Well, I suppose the first bit would to be to get in contact with me.
Exactly.
Um, and then, obviously I have my social media and means to get in contact. And then we sort of cater a plan to you and what your wants are and what you're looking for. There are many places to go hunting in South Africa, so there are many different species that you could look at getting. And
Okay.
we go through that, what your kind of wish list is, we can put together um, your dates, and then we do the paperwork, um,
And
and
and and
we organize
when
you.
you say
Yeah.
paperwork, let's just backtrack on that. When you say paperwork, is that like a paperwork for just booking in the hotel and the hunt, or is there licenses that the guest would need, or is that explain what just out of curiosity what the paperwork is?
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so you'd obviously most likely need paperwork for your passport sort of procedures
Okay.
on your side.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Whereas you're going to stay at a place, sometimes you show them you're booking at the hotel, that sort of thing. From the hunter's client side coming to South Africa, they don't really need anything unless they're traveling with their firearms.
Okay.
And then there's some procedures that you need to go through. Um, and then really everything else is handled on the hunting outfitter side. It's that's the job, and that's pulling all of it together, making sure that at the end of the day you can get your trophies shipped off to you, making sure at the end of the day the places that you want to go hunt, everything is clean, dusted, and sorted, making sure that we can try find the animals on your wish list. And that's sort of the gel of the whole thing, making sure that from arrival, well, from pre-arrival until you're safe on the airplane, until you're, on your way home, that you're taken care of and that the process is smooth. As smooth as it can be in Africa, which
Okay.
is one of the great adventures. And that's another thing, Africa is a wild place. And when you come here, you can't say, I'm gonna shoot a red hartebeest, a warthog, a giraffe, and a klipspringer. Maybe the bush doesn't want to give you those four options.
Okay.
May, you know what I mean? We're talking about wild animals.
Well,
Maybe the
it's hunting,
klipspringer
isn't it?
wants to fuck
Yeah.
around with you for your entire safari and you never get him.
But that's what it's all
It's
about. That's what
completely what happens.
hunting that's
100%.
hunting, isn't it? 100%. If it was a given, we
100%.
would be going out and just shooting, and it'd be like you tie it up with a piece of string to a fence post, you drive it, oh, there it is. But
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
it's the whole challenge of being the hunt. So can we've arrived now at the lodge. We're with you. We've done our meeting and
Yeah.
greeting. What happens next? Say let's go on the morning and we're going out for, I don't know, do you pick what animal you're going out for because you know exactly where it is, or would you just go out into the farm or the land, and if something appeared, you see some giraffes or a zebra in the distance, would you just go after that, or is there a particular order that you would do the process?
It's a good question. I think a majority of the time, especially on far bigger properties, and remember an outfitter, let's say you come to me and you'd like to shoot on my property, but you'd also like to go and shoot on a farm that is 18,000 hectares,
Okay.
You
Yep.
don't want to see any road or hear any car at all, and you don't want to see a light in the sky. An outfitter can organize that for you, right?
Okay. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
can take you to my place, I can then take you to another place. So on those bigger areas, it's often you take what you you can see.
Okay.
In other areas, okay, over there, that's going to be a more kudu area, more likely to get kudu antelope there. Okay, I know that that's an area that's really good for impala. And on people's own farms, you start to get an idea of what environment your animals enjoy. But remember as well, it's you know yourself probably when you go out for a hunt, an animal can smell gunpowder before you release a bullet.
Yep.
They know that you're there. And sometimes in Africa you'll find it interesting. I often find it's bloody species specific. I go out for zebra and I don't see the zebra that day. I only see impala. I go out for blessbuck, no blessbuck. Um, and it's it's just part of the game, and it's part of that experience. I think a lot of the time people will often find what they're looking for and have the opportunities. But at the end of the day, if the bush gives you something and you get that spark in your heart that you have to have it, don't let it go because you don't always have the chance. I know I have one friend. And he's come for this specific animal. He's from the States. He's come twice now and he still hasn't been able to get the bastard.
Right.
So it's the bush. It's
But
the
that
it's the
that
hunt.
that's it. And do you ever have obviously situations where guests don't understand this? They've paid their money, they've come along, and they kind of go, well, why isn't that animal available for me? Why aren't we getting it? Or are most people, they understand about the hunt and it's a wild animal?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to be transparent and then also get to know your client, right?
Okay.
Because there are different places you could take different clients. Maybe some clients, that they find they're not as let's say able,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a man who's, let's say, in his 70s. He's always dreamed of coming to Africa. He's got a little bit of a sore hip, and he can't be hunting in the bush for 10 days with a tent, you know?
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
He saved up his whole life to go on this trip. You you have the ability and the resources and farms to be able to say, okay, well, I know this farm is slightly smaller. We can take a car closer and get out and walk and stalk a bit closer. Those things are always, so get to know your clients, get to know what your client wants, be transparent with your client. Say, if you just want to hunt in this 18,000 hectares, you're never gonna see a duiker. Just know. But
Yeah, yeah.
maybe if we go there and we stalk there for 3 nights, we might get one. So I think it's also the relationship is important, honesty is important, transparency is important, and catering to your guests is important.
100%. Hospitality is one of the
Yeah,
most important sides of any outfit operation. It doesn't matter whether we're talking Africa
completely.
here or we're talking Northeast Scotland or even going
Because
off
it's a
to,
once in a lifetime thing, right?
yeah, for some people,
It's a once
absolutely.
in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And even if you come to Africa 10 times in your life, it's still each time is a once in a lifetime thing, something you're going to remember forever. And so you are you make friends, you may make lifetime friends, and hunting, does that to you as well.
Oh, totally. And actually everybody,
Yeah,
I think the hunting world is actually it's a very small place, really. The world is very big, but when you start
yeah,
talking about going out hunting, it makes it very close and very friendly.
true, very true.
Fantastic. So I think we've covered a huge amount, and you've been able to rant and tell us all about elephants, leopards, and rhinos. Is there anything else that we've missed? Because obviously, you've got some fantastic stories that you post up on your socials, and I think I've touched on most of what I had written down. But is there anything
Yeah.
else why people should visit you?
Well, absolutely. I'll talk about why people should visit us, and it leads back to what I said in the beginning.
Yep.
There is nothing like Africa. You'll never recover from Africa. I can almost promise you, you'll land here, doesn't matter if you shoot anything. It will be stuck with you forever and you'll always want to come back. Whether you come hunting with me or you come hunting with another person, Africa is somewhere that you have to see, smell, feel. And if you were to shoot an animal in Africa, that's a blessing. That's a big blessing. It really is the motherland, and I wouldn't miss it. We have such a range. That's also something that's so incredible is our biodiversity is, dare I just say, the best when it comes to animals that are on the veldt. The amount of species you can see in a day. And we're not just talking about mammals, the cats, the insects, the snakes, the reptiles, it's an incredible, incredible place.
And just out of
So
curiosity, what's your
yeah,
climate like? Because obviously everybody thinks of Africa and they think of deserts and things like that, but actually South Africa's fairly temperate,
yeah.
isn't it?
We have a wonderful climate here. Yeah, no, I think we have one of the best climates in the world,
Okay.
actually. It's cold right now for us, but we're South African, we're not British, so
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
it's not that cold. But I mean, summer hot days, we're talking 30 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Um, very hot days, goodness, actually, I think last summer it went like 36, 37, 38. It was quite hot. But we have a beautiful climate, and up where I am, it's not humid, but it's not too dry. It's yeah, South Africa has beautiful weather. Cape Town is an interesting story because that has like four seasons in a day. Interesting place to see for its flora. Um, but but otherwise the veldt and the wildlife is quite amazing everywhere else.
So basically it's come up to your area because it's got the best conditions and you're going to have it sounds like an absolute great time and you're going to learn a bit of history and yeah, you're going to see so much by the sounds of it.
See so much, eat so much, and feel so much. Yeah, I think we'll end off with the fact that hunting is all about respect. Um,
100%.
Respect for the life that you're taking, respect for the arms that you're holding up. Um, it's a very beautiful and spiritual thing. And I've only been lucky to shoot one thing in the UK, and that was a pheasant, and that was awesome. um but I envy the man that gets to come to South Africa and shoot their first animal, um because it is something else.
We'll put all the links and everything to your lodge and you in the description. So if anybody
Wonderful.
is looking, then they know exactly where to come to. And I really do suggest people actually follow you, because your stories are great, and everything you've done on social media looks just it's just such an eye opener, because it's so different. It's from the heart. It's
Thank
straight
you.
there, and you just put it out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So
And
thanks. Yeah. Thanks very much for spending an hour telling us about your home and everything about it.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. But thank you. And I will come visit you when I come to the UK next.
Definitely. What a great chat there. Really enjoyed it. Sarah did ask me to make one correction in there. At about 44 minutes and 48 seconds, she mentions Madiguay National Park. It is actually Madiguay Game Reserve. Sarah has a passion and an emotion, and it comes across just in the way that she talks about things. And if you don't follow her on social media, I strongly recommend you go and have a look. She really does raise some good points and share some very interesting topics. Africa is still one of those very emotive subjects, and there's a lot of people. We obviously had Robbie on a while ago from the Blood Origins, and again, he does a lot of work down there. So there's stuff going on down there that the rest of the world just doesn't understand, and I think we as hunters really do need to educate ourselves and see how it's all done. Yes, we know how hunting in our own area happens, like the UK, but we should really, as a hunter, we should be educated and understand how hunting happens in the rest of the world. Because I see a lot of UK hunters you put something up about Africa, and they are a completely negative closed loop on it. But learning from these people and seeing how it's all done in different places is really important. Anyway, I'm not going to waffle on too much. It's the end of the show. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget to come and buy some merch.